Well, I'm very pleased to say I'm now joined by trainer Pat Rosney, who has a couple of contenders for this year's Star Sports Derby, which we will come to in just a moment. And one of them is a very, very good dog at what I think is a decent price. But before that, Pat, I just want to talk to you about this year's Derby, because obviously things are going to be quite different. We've got limited number of entries, reduced prize money. But you were talking to me about how much the Derby still means to you and how much you would dearly love to win it, despite the circumstances we find ourselves in.
Well, yeah, I think it's every trainer's dream to win the Derby, and even with reduced prize money, it wouldn't matter in the slightest to me what the prize money was if it was to win the Derby. You know, it's all about winning it, the history of it, and the achievement.
You've been in plenty of derbies. The most sort of recent brilliant dog you had in the Derby, I guess, was New and YOLO, and what a talent he was. You were quite unlucky with him. He got injured in the third round, but you also just reminded me of Windy Miller as well. You've had some really decent dogs in the Derby before, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not really been the luckiest race for us, to be honest, but the Scottish Derby's been a lot kinder to us than the English Derby, and YOLO looked like he was going to go a long way, if not even win it, when sort of disaster struck on the Saturday night, and that was that, you know, and that was over. Windy Miller as well, you know, he was going great guns, and you know, on the Tuesday night, and he hopped out in front and looked like going round in front, and then Brad McNair jumped on his back around the first bend, and that was Windy Miller gone. Mm-hmm.
It's a competition I know you love, and you must be looking forward to it this year, because you've got a real live contender in the shape of Bower Luke, who is currently 66-1 with Star Sports. We'll talk about his form in just a minute, but that struck me when you look at some of the other prices of the decent dogs as being quite a fair price.
Probably is a fair price. A lot of my friends have had 200-1. You know, so they're sitting pretty now, and but there's a long way to go. There's some. If you went down the list, you'd probably see some real top class dogs at 100-1 still, and you know, it's just such a hard competition, isn't it? And that's reflected in the odds, you know.
Absolutely. He has just won the All England Cup for you. It's a bit of a surprise. He was 11-2, but beating some dogs that are really quite fancy for the Derby. I mean, I'm a big fan of Wakiki Lad. He finished second behind Bower Luke, and Bramble Reggie was in there as well. It was a top quality race to win. Did he surprise you? Obviously, he didn't win in the rounds, but did he surprise you in the final, or do you believe in this dog's ability?
He certainly didn't surprise me. I think he's a very, very good dog, and you know, you go back to December, and he ran such a good race at Newcastle in the Laurels behind, you know, a terrific dog, Ice on Fire, and there was no Ice on Fire there the other night, and the bit that surprised me was what he did to the field to the first bend. There were some real good dogs in there with good early pace, and you know, he opened up such a gap to the first bend, and he did the same the other night at Nottingham, and he's got super early, you know, and let's hope he can, you know, keep showing that. But it wasn't a surprise, you know. We weren't going there to make the numbers up. We were going, you know, thinking, yeah, we haven't had a race since March, but you know, I think a lot of the dogs that we've had in the past, you know, we've kind of just not raced them and kind of produced them for the big competitions, and it's been successful for us. It's been kind of the way that we've done things over the years, and it has been successful for us, and that was another sort of example of it the other night. You don't necessarily have to race to be, you know, fit enough and good enough to win these competitions. You can produce them to just for these competitions. They don't have to be running every week.
I think Nottingham in last year's Star Sports Derby proved itself to be a track that some dogs really took to, and some perhaps not so much. Certainly a track that I think you need a look or two around, particularly with that first bend. But Luke won at Nottingham on Monday. It's not his first win at Nottingham. He actually really likes the track, doesn't he? That was a Derby trial stakes that he won before lockdown, and then of course he's won again Monday. So Nottingham really suits this dog.
Yeah, it seems to. He likes a good run to the corner, which they have for the 500 metres, and good long straight. He's a big dog. He's 37.5 kilo and big stride on him. And Nottingham's a track where you can sort of let fly and get on them straights, and you can use your stride. And it's a fair track. It's a good track. It's certainly a worthy host for the Derby, but you must have a look round it. The first two bends, if you've not been round it, a lot of dogs do run off there for the first time, and even possibly the second time as well. But you would encourage everybody who's going there to sort of do the homework round there, and which will lead to cleaner racing, hopefully, then when the competition starts.
He seems to be coming to hand at just the right time. He turns 3 next month, so he's not a baby. Probably a nice sort of age for a Derby, would you say? And also he's quite lightly raced.
Well, he is lightly raced. He was late starting because of his size, and we only got him over sort of last summer, and he was unraced then. We ran him in the Puppy Classic in Nottingham, and he weren't just really quite right. He was giving a few coughs, and although it wasn't a cough, but there was something there, and he looked like he didn't stay and struggling to get that trip. And anyway, he got over that then after the Puppy Classic, and run well in Newcastle then in the Laurels, and now he seems to be thriving this year. He really does, and his trials have been good, and his races. I know he didn't win a heat in Newcastle, but first round was a scrappy affair. The second one, he's just got chinned on the line, and then the third one, then obviously we know about that one, and so he is coming to hand. He is coming to hand. To be honest with you, I wish it was next week it was starting than in the first week of October.
So it's your job now to keep him at this level, really, ready for the beginning of October. What's the plans? Is it just going to be one-off races at Nottingham?
Yeah. He will have a few one-off races. There are other dogs sort of tied up in other competitions, and I think we'll try and sort of take advantage of that while they're at other tracks, and give him a few races at Nottingham, and then when we get into September, then I'll take him off racing and just sort of trial him, certainly around Nottingham, and maybe even one somewhere else, just to sort of freshen him up as well, and just try and have him at maximum confidence then going into the competition. I really believe that confidence is a massive thing with greyhounds. Don't like getting them beat up in these trial stakes, and then something, because they tend to grade these trial stakes, so the best dogs always end up against one another. It's like a final before you even start. So I like to sort of not get involved in them kind of things, and try and have them at maximum confidence going in there.
You've got another one that you're going to put in the Derby as well. It's a bitch called Fancy Trend. She's 125-1 with Star Sports, but people may not know too much about her. She's October 17 bitch, and not too long out of season. You think that she's going to be one to watch in the coming weeks? You think she could maybe come to hand at the right time?
Well, hopefully, but the main target with her would be the Oaks. Bitches haven't got a good record in the Derby. We all know that, and so that would be the main target. And unless she's firing on all cylinders, we probably wouldn't put her in the Derby. She's currently trialling now at the minute, and she's sort of quite a bit down on a form. But she's at that stage of the season where that wouldn't be a surprise, you know. And, so we need to see her, you know, sort of rediscover her true form. And going off trials that we done earlier in the year, there wouldn't be anything between her and Luke. You know, in fact, we gave them both a trial the same day, and she went quicker.
Wow.
And I'm doing the same sectionals as him as well. She's a very good bitch, very good bitch. And she certainly wants to keep an eye on, you know, later in the year, you know, maybe she might be a couple of months, 6 weeks away from being at her best. And so I have a lot of confidence in her. She is good.
Well, that's fancy trained. She won just before lockdown, actually, in Nottingham, didn't she? 29.85 in a Derby trial stakes. So one to keep an eye on how she progresses in the coming weeks for you. But yeah, she sounds like a great bitch. So I just want to finish on Bower Luke. Would you swap him for anything?
No, I'm happy with what I've got. Very happy. I know the dog, and I know what he's capable of doing. He's got that potent weapon that everybody wants, that early pace. I'm happy now that he gets the trip. I think we seen the other night, Monday night, that he powered up the home straight and got the 500 metres. Yeah, he probably wants to be in front. That's his style, you know. But I'm very happy with him, and no, I wouldn't really swap. I wouldn't swap him at all, you know. I do like Patrick's dog, Bocco's Do Me. You know, I think he's a real class act. I like his determination. I like his will to win. It's something that you just can't instill in these dogs. You know, they've either got it or they haven't, and he's got it. But I'm happy with our fella, and just want a bit of luck. We haven't had a lot of that in the English Derby, so we're hoping we're going to get it this year. Maybe
you've been saving it all up for 2020. He's a much bigger price than Bocco's Do Me, as I said earlier, 66 to 1 if you fancy Bower Luke. Clearly, the trainer thinks he's capable of winning the Star Sports Derby. Thank you so much, Pat. It's been good to talk to you. And I'll look forward to seeing you at Nottingham, seeing this big 37-kilo dog you've got on your hands.
Okay, Julie.
Thanks, Pat. Cheers.